Well, hello. Happy Friday to anybody who thought we were going to go live at 8 or 9. I had an emergency, so we had to go a little bit later. That's okay. I hope everybody is still stuffed, all big and fat from Thanksgiving, those who celebrate Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving, because I know somebody I know is doing it on Sunday, which is good. It should be a whole weekend thing anyway. Just feast the whole weekend through. Tonight, you're going to feast your eyes on me and Seth talking about Friday the 13th. Now, those who watch the Horror Syndicate Discourse, our Wednesday show, this is going to be a little bit different where we get very technical, break down cinematography, we break down, acting and all that stuff. It's more about dissecting the movie and learning about who was the cinematographer and all that stuff. We're going to do it differently and just kind of talk about what we like, what we love, what we hate, things that bother us, and that's about it. So we decided we're going to start with Friday the 13th movies because we don't generally cover Friday the 13th very much on the Discourse show, and it's a fun series overall. So why not start with the 1980 original Friday the 13th? Yeah. And a lot of people love Friday the 13th. So what better way to kick off a new show with a movie that, well, a movie series that generally people do love in the horror world. So if you're watching, hanging out with us, make sure you watch it. We can watch us live on Facebook or go subscribe to the YouTube channel where we are on YouTube, and we like subscribers and hit the like button. That all helps us out to get more people to come in and watch this show. But we also want you to comment and let us know how you feel, like the points that you want to make, and we'll try to comment on what you say and answer any questions as best as we can. And if you know our old show, or not old show, we still do Discourse, and we're going to keep doing Discourse. This is just going to be something a little bit different, and as far as I know, it's just me and Seth. Exciting thing is we also are going to rank the movies at the end, like when we get through with the 12th Friday the 13th movie, we're going to do a ranking show and rank every one of them based on something that we just came up with. It's called the slasher scale. And so it'll, like it's kind of like Rotten Tomatoes, where, they say, oh, this movie is at 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. We have something like that we just came up with, a whole scale, and our scores are different, but we put them together and cut them in half, and that's what we get. So that's going to be the score, and it's going to be fun because I think that our regular rankings, the way we think that we like these movies, it may end up differently, which I'm very excited to find out. I'm really looking forward to doing a ranking of part three because that's like my least favorite for the most part. And Seth, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm a lot better now knowing that what's going on with Helena, my daughter.
Yeah,
I mean, finding out that she has strep is one thing, but knowing what she has rather than like, God damn it, what's wrong with you, kid? So
yeah.
anyway, we're gonna talk some Friday the 13th tonight. Oh, can't wait for part five. Neither can I. I love part five. Uh,
Same here.
Hey, Alex. Yeah, part five is, in my opinion, it's moving its way up my rankings. I think it's like maybe my third or fourth favorite, at this point. It gets a lot of shit, but it kind of takes you back to this movie, the first movie, Friday the 13th, in a way.
Yeah.
Uh, don't worry, we're going to do part six. We're going to do them all. We're going to do all 12. We're going to spend 12 weeks on these. And not to mention, we're going to do something kind of fun. Um, I think in a few weeks we're going to do a versus episode. We discussed talking about movies, putting them up against each other. Like he's going to defend Day of the Dead, and I'm going to defend Return of the Living Dead, and that should be fun. So movies kind of that are similar. We're going to do versus episodes in the middle of all this. So we'll do 3 or 4 movies, and then we'll do a versus, and then just to keep it going. And then we'll talk about what series we'll do next if you guys want, to us to keep doing this. And we decided on something, but I think maybe we'll do a fan vote or something like that if we get enough people watching. What do you think?
Sure. I mean,
Okay.
we talked about Phantasm. I think that'd be a fun one to do.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that. We talked about Hellraiser, talked about everything. I eventually would like to do Elm Street. I'm like foaming at the mouth to do some Elm Street, and
Yeah.
I know maybe if we keep this going for towards next year, we can do Halloween again and start from John Carpenter's masterpiece, or we could go backwards and then finish with number one. Because unlike Halloween, this is not the best of the franchise. The first movie is not the best Friday the 13th movie, the first one. So this is so fun. We'll share this out. Let's share. Seth, make sure you share it. I'm going to share it on my page right now because we can't share till we go live.
I'm
Um,
already on top of it. I already shared it.
right on top of that, Rose.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? I'm going to put it in a Friday the 13th group too. They're right on top of that, Rose. Yeah. I'm a fan of that. Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead. So let me ask you because everybody's story is different. Friday the 13th. How did you find this one? How did you come across this movie?
Well, I rented it. When I was in high school, I was hanging out with a friend who was big into horror, and he kind of was showing me the ropes, so to say. And I went over his house one day after work, and he was watching part three. And so I saw like the final, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of part three, and I enjoyed it. And he's like, "Oh, dude, you got to see the rest of these." And we went to the video store that he lived right next to it, and we rented the VHS of part six. And then I was hooked into the series, and then I just started
The
with the
best
original
one.
one. The second best one. That's our versus episode. I'm looking forward to
Yeah, I
it.
know. That'll be fun. That's we're gonna do that after we get through the Jason Lives episode, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I mean, I didn't see the first one first either, and unfortunately, it's part of probably why. Like I remember seeing Jason Lives first, and I think that's the best introductory Friday the 13th movie there is, because first of all, you'll get Jason, and second of all, it's the most kid friendly probably.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so like I don't know. I'm also biased because it's my favorite. So
Well, I mean,
oh,
that was the one
Casey.
I showed to my kids.
Me too. Well, my son saw Jason X on accident first, but complete accident.
Yeah.
Now he has to tell people, "Oh, the first Friday the 13th I saw was Jason X," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, man. I'm so
Poor
sorry."
kid.
Yeah, I know,
You're at
right?
least paying for his therapy, right?
Yeah, I have to. But so yeah, we I mean, he shares a love, and now my daughter Helena, who's 9, is going through these with me. Again, even though I really don't need to, I know them so well that well, okay, it's not. Would you want that to be your first introduction movie to Friday the 13th? Not me. It's a fun movie overall, but come on, there's nothing
On
like
the plus
Jason Lives or Final Chapter. Say
on the
again?
plus side though, seeing X first. So on the plus side, seeing Jason X first really kind of lowers the bar. So like when you go through all the other ones, they're that much better. I
Yeah,
mean, Jason
that's
X is
true.
fun, but
Yeah,
it's I gotta be in the right mindset.
yeah, I agree with that. Totally. So anyway, my for me, I saw Jason Lives first, and then Freddy versus Jason is the low bar.
All right, fine, you got me there. Okay, I
Yeah, you
surrender.
still need to watch that one, don't you? Hold on, I'm plugging in my alternate internet source. Um, I think I was 6 or 7 when I saw Jason Lives, and I really loved it because it was coming off of seeing Halloween 2 and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. But we were up in Indiana for some weekend, and it was a Friday the 13th. And me and my cousins, this was shortly after seeing it. They're like, "Oh, they're having a Friday the 13th marathon. They're showing the first 4," and I'm like, "Oh, I saw one of those." And so the first one pops up, and I'm waiting because I remember Jason. Who doesn't remember the hockey faced killer? And I'm waiting, and I'm
Iconic.
waiting, and there's no Jason. I'm like, what? Well, this isn't Friday the 13th. I'm a 7-year-old arguing with my cousin who's like 14 or 15 at this point. And like, oh, he's the one at the end, you know. And I'm like, that. I was so disappointed. And then the next one was the second one, and they showed him in a bag hat. I'm like, what the heck? You know, like this is terrible. And I think that's why I had such disdain for the second movie for a long time. But for anybody out there who has not seen Friday the 13th, I do want to warn you there is a spoiler warning for a 42-year-old movie. So we'll have that out there for you just in case, because I know I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But it is 42 years old. And also, I want to let you know, last week we did a show on we ranked all the Friday Final Girls. So check that out. It's on YouTube and on Facebook. But we want you to watch the YouTube because we want more subscribers. Anyway, yeah. So subscribe. So yeah, back to the movie. Yeah, so I saw it and I was disappointed at the age of 7 or 8 years old, and I didn't revisit it again for a long time. As a matter of fact, I used to skip the first two movies for a long time. I had, yeah, well, yeah. So in '89 or '90 or whenever that was, I think it was '90. I had a tape. I think I've told you about the tape had a Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Halloween 5, and Jason Takes Manhattan. And I love Jason Takes Manhattan. you know, so like eventually I was able to get part for. So I think I told you about the neighbor we had who had all these bootlegs. He had Demons 2 on a tape, and he started doubling them, dubbing them for me, and that's what he called it, dubbing them. And he got me copies of 3, 4, 5, 6, no 3, 4, 6, 7, and I had 8 already. And then I was like, yeah. So I had all those, and I didn't have 5, and he said 5 was dumb. I disagree. I love 5 now. But so for a long time, all I knew of Jason was 3, 4, 6, and 7 and 8. Which those arguably a handful of those are the best ones. But
Yeah, I mean, for me though, I mean, I love part two. I love part two since I first saw it. Part two was kind of the one. Well, I can't say it's the one that made me a fan because obviously Jason Lives was the one that really got me into it. But I loved part two right from the beginning. I don't know.
well, part two is really moving its way up on mine too because it was that bullshit. And I know there are some people out there that are like this, but it was that he didn't have his mask in that movie, and it bugged me.
Yeah.
And watching it, there's like through the series, there's an evolution of Jason. He's a little kid in the lake, dream, whatever, and then he's got the sack head, and then the next movie he loses that, so he takes the mask. And anyway, I've come to appreciate 2 a lot more than I used to. I will say that, and it's another one that's moved up a lot on my list, where it used to be in the bottom 5. Now it's in the top 5 for sure of the Friday the 13th, maybe even top 3. I can't remember because we recently ranked them, and I think it might have been number 2 on my list because I refused to put the final chapter at number 2 or 1.
What a bastard!
So as a kid, I saw a lot of other Friday the 13th films first. I think that's going to be the case going out is there's a lot. There's also Facebook comments from a post I put up earlier. I do want to get to I want to see what they said and see, But so when it came to the original, I thought it was boring. Yeah. So that's somewhere I want to get into. Something I want to get into with you is how the entertainment value of this one is so low. And it's like, I thought when it came to remaking Friday the 13th, cutting the first movie down to like a 5-second, or not 5 seconds, like a 5 minute, less than 5 minute opening credit scene was perfection, because there's no way to remake this movie, and that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because this movie it had one of the best twist reveals in history. I think we didn't know it was going to be Jason's mom.
That's because the character was never established.
Yeah, or also we didn't know Jason pop out of the water, just like Jaws. But yeah, I don't think people give the movie credit for what it did. It also created the genre, not the genre, but the series. If we didn't have Friday the 13th, we wouldn't have the rest of them. And I do give it a lot of credit because Betsy Palmer was pretty awesome. Yeah, her reasoning for taking the role was because she needed a new car. Gotta love that. Um, by the way, if you haven't seen Crystal Lake Memories, you have to. It's the best documentary there is for Friday the 13th. There's another one out there called His Name Was Jason. That's pretty good. It's a lot shorter. It's like an hour and a half or something. It's the poor man's. But anyway, so let's talk about the movie. What are some of the things that you want to start with? Don't like about it? Why it ranks so low on your list?
I mean, we can if you want to.
No, I think that's the best to start with the things we don't like as much because it's easy to talk about. Oh, it's got some good kills. Tom Savini's makeup effects, blah blah blah. Betsy Palmer's was good in it, but I mean, it's the pacing is really poor in my opinion in this movie. It's very slow. There's some cool stuff that happens, but you know, and I'm not a fan of this cast of teens. I don't, like Kevin Bacon's in there, sure. Adrian King's okay. I mean, Ned is one of the most annoying characters of the entire series, in my opinion. Um, yeah, what do you think of the cast? I love Steve Christie, but he looks creepy. So
Well, I mean, it's kind of like I said last week when we were talking about the final girls. The characters in this one for me were just kind of bland, and like this
yeah,
isn't like I know this isn't a franchise where it's ever really had like phenomenal characters and well written characters, but these are
I can't.
they're okay. They're just there, I don't know how to describe it any more than that.
Well, they're basically there to die. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I've always looked at it. But at the same time, you want like I think in movies you want to care about somebody. You want like I do. I want to connect with a character like I know I do in most of the other movies, and this one just the one person I connect with is Betsy Palmer because I want to kill these motherfuckers too.
Well, I like the one guy, the one there in the picture with the suspenders. I forget his name.
I think you should wear that outfit.
We'll mark that under things that'll never happen.
We'll
I
see.
thought he was likable, and then what's her name? Was it Brenda? Was that her name?
The one that gets shot with the arrows,
Yeah.
or yeah, I'm pretty sure that's her name.
I kind of like those characters, but the rest were just not awful, but just kind of bland. There was not really much to them. But then again, it wasn't made with any type of pretensions of doing anything interesting with characters. It was just, it was made to be just a cheap slasher movie, and so that's what it was. And
Yeah, I like this. Seeing Alice take her sweet time making coffee is painful.
yeah,
Pacing is poor. Yeah, that's another problem. Like, there's some really good effects in this movie. You think about some of them might be dated, but the first kill with Annie
Mhm.
was really good, and she seemed like somebody like I remember watching as a kid. I was like, okay, so this is gonna be the main character. And so they really Sean Cunningham and Victor Miller really stole from more than just Halloween. They kind of took from Psycho by the showing us this girl, following her around. You're an American original. And I liked her, and then she gets killed off first. Well, other than the campers at the beginning, but like yeah, man, I don't like Marcy is her name, the one that Kevin Bacon's banging or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Ned is. We got to make a list of the most annoying characters of all time in Friday the 13th because Ned's right up there for me. Alice is just very bland. I do like the end with her, and getting bitch slapped around by Betsy Palmer, but no, I'm not a big fan of the characters. What are you thinking? You look like you're
I-
thinking.
well, I will say I like Ned better than I like Ted from Part Two.
Oh wow.
He was more annoying.
That's oh, we're definitely making a list. We're definitely making a list because Junior's got to go on there from Junior and Ethel. You know, yeah, Alice is so plain. Like, I wonder if he was going for a. I love Steve. I have a picture of my daughter, uh, and she's making this face. I gotta find it. It's hilarious. But yeah, Steve Christie's a creep. Is that what I look like? That's what you looked like last night. But the setting is my favorite thing about this movie. Crystal Lake. I
Yeah,
love Crystal Lake. I think that's a really cool setting, and we'll
yeah.
definitely get to that. But yeah, characters are uninteresting, and I think they were trying to go for a Jamie Lee Curtis feel with Alice, but she was like the great value Jamie Lee Curtis or less.
Well,
She
for me, she didn't really seem like she was like the lead protagonist for most of the movie. She just kind of became that way by circumstance. I mean, I felt like, and I guess it's kind of a good thing with this movie is that for the characters being so bland, they all kind of, I don't know, they all had enough screen time. You know what I mean? It felt like more
yeah,
of an
yeah.
ensemble movie um, than something like Halloween, which focused on Laurie Strode. This one was more about the group.
Yeah, like we knew Laurie Strode was the lead in Halloween. I mean, between her and Pleasance, you know, where this one, yeah, you're right. It starts following Annie, and then she dies, and then it starts kind of following it. You're not sure who to follow and who to, you know. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally agree with
and then
that.
like Marcy gives her like weird little speech about her dream and all that, and you're like, okay,
You'll always be playing Lizzie. That shit. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's just you all right there? Hacking up a loogie?
no, I
What's
was doing
that?
something else. Sorry.
Oh, naughty boy. Yeah. So, like Halloween, this has one of those shtick titles, Friday the 13th, and it's set in a summer camp. I mean, like, I like the title, but I don't understand why they didn't call it Crystal Lake or something like that. You know, I guess because Sean Cunningham is, really trying hard to steal from John Carpenter. Is that what it is?
Well, yeah. Let's just say I don't have very many nice things to say about Sean Cunningham. Uh, Not nothing on a personal level, just his work. It's not been for me. Besides the New Kids, I like the New Kids.
I
I know
did
you
not
don't
like
like
that
that one,
movie.
right?
Yeah, that movie was dumb. Like, I don't even think it should
I
be
grew up with that.
classified as a horror movie. Huh?
So I grew up with that movie. Like my parents watched it quite a bit. So like I have that nostalgia for the New Kids.
Well, I went into it expecting it to actually be a horror movie, and I can't. And I know that you guys don't like it when I'm like, well, it's not a horror movie, but I can't see it as a horror movie. It's just a
It's not
pile
a
of
horror
shit.
movie.
No, okay, so it shouldn't be in my collection. I bought it when it came out on Blu-ray. Do you have it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I got
damn
the
it!
Blu-ray.
I want to get rid of my Blu-ray. But I bought it
Well,
on
you can
Blu-ray
send it
because
to me. You can send it
what are
to
you gonna do
me.
with it?
I showed it to my buddy Josh a couple years ago, and he liked it, so I could just wrap it up and give it to him for Christmas.
Here you go, buddy. Well,
Yeah,
I like a lot of people were talking about it one day, and I was like, "Oh, this was one of my favorite scary movies when I was a kid." And I got it, and I was like, "Cool, something I've never seen before." I got it, watched them, like, "What the fuck is this movie?" You know. And I just anyway, yeah, Sean Cunningham, his resume of films that he directed, not great. I will say things he's produced. Let Steve Miner direct, like House, you know. And
I'll give you
Steve
that one.
Miner is the superior director, obviously, as we'll get to him in the next two movies.
Yep.
Uh, what's that?
I said, "Yep."
I can hear my daughter's watching that show Wednesday right now. It's very loud. So anyway, but yeah, back to the camp setting. I really like this. You know, it's not different, based on other slashers, but at the same time, it kind of was at the time because, uh, well, producers aren't that great. But anyway, we saw other movies later on to kind of follow the camp, like Sleepaway Camp or The Burning. There's a couple of them that follow the that being at a camp trope. Of course, that one that's on Netflix from last year. But Friday the 13th, they're opening the camp or whatever, so you don't even get campers in the camp. So the stakes aren't as high versus, part six, where the stakes are super high because there's kids there. Alice it was less sympathetic because there were no kids. She was putting herself and the killer. Yeah, that's true. See, kind of what I was saying. The Burning is better than Friday the 13th. I will say yes. The Burning. Have you seen The Burning?
I have not. It's been on my list.
Oh, yeah. Scream Factory has an edition out. I don't know if it's in print or out of print, but there's a first of all, Tom Savini chose to do The Burning over Friday Part Two. So Savini's effects are in it, and they're better than Friday the 13th effects because the Friday the 13th effects, as somebody mentioned, a lot of the kills are off screen. I mean,
Yeah.
Ned dies off screen, which pisses me off because I wanted to watch that guy die. You know, the girl Marcy, she gets killed essentially off screen. I like what they did with that kill, but I don't like that they didn't show it. Like they hit the lamp and the lamp, the light and the lights swinging. That was kind of cool, and they show her scared. That was a good scene, but I would like to see the axe go into her face or wherever. But yeah, most of the kills were off screen and or not shown, and that's kind of a for a slasher movie. Even though this is early in the slasher, uh, uh, what do they call it? The slasher cycle? I call it the universal cycle. This is early in the slasher cycle, so it's got a lot of freedom. But I don't know. I think uh, I think that some of the kills should have been more shown, especially when you have the maestro like Savini doing the effects. Am I wrong?
No, you're definitely right. I mean, the effects that are in there are good. I just wish there
Yeah.
was more.
Yeah, I feel like they spent more time on Jason's makeup than they did on the effects and the kills, uh, because I mean, there's a lot of usage of blood, or like that one guy that you liked. It just shows him hung up on a door with,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, well, how'd that happen? And I don't know. I mean, again, we had to start somewhere, and it was just that's the other thing. It's just Betsy Palmer doing all the killing, so. Yeah, you definitely have to see The Burning. Cropsy. It's not a great movie by any means, but there's a lot of fun scenes in it, and you get a young George Costanza thinking he's like hot shit for Seinfeld fans out there. And there's a couple other familiar faces in there too, but it's not bad. It's better. I don't think it's better than Friday the 13th Part Two, and they came out at almost the same time. I think Friday the 13th Part Two is better. What's up, Josh? How you doing, man? Is that
What's
your
up,
friend?
douche?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yes. I thought so. I grew up. I like the group of kids in The Burning better. Yeah, yeah. Seth, you definitely got to see The Burning at some point. It's pretty damn good
Yeah.
for early '80s slasher. It's an '81, of course, so better than Friday the 13th. So let's talk about things we like about this movie, since we've kind of talked about what we don't like. The lack of kills on screen. We did talk about liking you like the setting, the camp, right, in the woods, babes in the woods.
Yeah. I would say there's like three things that I really like about the first Friday 13th movie, and one of them is definitely the setting. I like the woods. I like the camp, the the lake. It's just a
Hmm.
really. I think that's why I have such a strong nostalgia for the early Friday movies. I kind of miss the setting and the look and the feel of them, and
Yeah,
you know, it's probably one of the best parts. I think they did good on the location.
Yeah, the location's fantastic. I really like there are some really great shots in the movie, and the cinematography is not great, but there are some really good shots, especially when they're building the bridge thing. I don't know what they call that for the Ned's doing a fucking somersault on the thing while they're taking it out, and he acts like he's drowning because he's a complete dickhead. Like there's some really nice shots there. I like the
Yeah.
shot that they showed when Kevin Bacon was talking about it's going to come down that valley like a son of a gun, the storm that was coming. And that's the other thing. I like that they made it storm that night because that added an extra element of maybe
Yeah.
fear and danger. And then you got the camp counselor wannabes playing strip Monopoly or whatever it was. I like that element too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't know that was going to be he was going to be there, right? The guy pinned to the door.
Don't recall. It's been a while since I watched Crystal Lake Memories.
It's frustrating when they don't show character kill scene. Tyra Banks and Halloween Resurrection. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna
Right.
do some Halloween Resurrection faux show. Believe it. Yeah. So that's another one. Yeah, the music. I really like. So
Hmm.
Manfredini. His music it's become iconic. Almost like well, especially the first three movies. I'd say maybe the first four, but
I
like
see the first
after
five.
you think the first five, yeah, because I was gonna say after five, it kind of changes a little bit. They
I
get more
think.
into too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of changed with the tone of the series as it started changing. Like the first five were, to me, feel like very serious slasher movies.
Hmm.
And then from part six on, there's sort of like a really fun kind of campy element to it.
Yeah,
And I think the scores reflect that. I think the score for part five is very underrated, just like the movie itself.
yeah. Just wait 5 weeks from now when we talk about part five and how much we love it and how
Yeah.
underrated that movie is. It's becoming the new Halloween three, in my opinion. Where obviously I'm wearing Halloween three stuff right now, but like because years ago so many people were bitching and oh Jason's not even in it. It's imposter Jason. Oh Michael Myers isn't even in this movie. Yeah, it's kind of the same type of movie, not type of movie, but the same kind of reaction from people. But I can't wait to talk about five.
Yeah.
It is. It exactly. I like the axe hitting the light. Yeah, I mentioned that before. Yeah, that's a good. There are some good scenes, good kill scenes in the movie where
Hmm.
Kevin Bacon's is pretty good. And yeah, I mean Marcy's was okay, and of course the very first one that we see from uh, the current time rather than the 1950s or whatever. Just a simple throat slit is really good, and it looked like at the time it looked real. Like watching it on a high def Blu-ray, you could see the difference in her skin tone. But even in
Yeah.
this shot here, it looks like it's not that. And I just the wish Steve Christie would have been a little bit more to that. And the best kill is of course the end, which I love. The very end of the movie, part five. Ah, titties. Yes. Why'd you have to bring that up? That's my favorite thing. But like when Adrian they slow them. Like first of all, that's one of my favorite part. The best part of this entire movie, in my opinion, and I want to get your opinion. What you think is the best is the end when Betsy Palmer shows up. I'm Mrs. Voorhees, and she starts kind of like Alice thinks she's saved or whatever, and Mrs. Voorhees shows up and she starts kind of going Looney Tunes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then she flips on Alice and starts beating the shit out of her. She slaps her and backhands her. you know, and Alice just kind of lets it happen before she starts fighting back, and eventually she starts fighting back, and she finds a moment and lobs her head off, which is awesome. And of course, Tatsu's fingers up. That's a great story too. I love that scene. That's the last third of the movie or whatever is probably the best of the movie. A pitch slap. Yeah, see, that was so great. And I don't know. What do you think? Or what do you think? What's your favorite part of the movie? I know a lot of people say the last scene in the movies is their favorite, which I think yeah that, but not me. I like Betsy Palmer slapping Alice around.
Um, Ooh. I guess when the end credits roll. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm not a hater of this movie. I do enjoy it. I don't know. It's tough to say. I don't know if I have a favorite part of the movie.
really? No, there's nothing comes to mind for a favorite part. Okay, everybody out there who's watching, tell me now
Oh,
what's
I
your
got it.
favorite part of the movie. Okay, you got one.
The introduction to Crazy Ralph, the
Oh,
hero,
we haven't even gotten to Crazy Ralph.
the hero. That's right. If they only listened to him, they would all be alive.
It's true. It's true. Did I ever tell you? Did I ever tell you that Crazy Ralph tells my kids when it's time to go to school? Did I ever tell you that? It's
No.
yeah. So I don't know if it's gonna.
Pretty cat blood, ain't you? You'll never come back again. It's got a death curse.
Yeah. So that's when they know it's time to leave for school. It's they hear Crazy Ralph. Yeah, the revelation was very good. And plus, I like the way Betsy Palmer comes off as kind of a savior. You know, everything's going to be okay. And then look what you did to him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the last act of the movie, the last 15, 20 minutes is the best of the whole movie. It just sucks that you got to sit through all this other bullshit and off screen kills to get to it. But it also, scenes like Crazy Ralph or the truck driver, those scenes do kind of start setting up the Friday the 13th mythology a little bit. Especially the truck driver talks about, all the things that Pamela did to try to stop the camp from opening, bad poisoning the water or whatever it was, and
Yep.
killing the teens early on. So that's
Yep.
that's really kind of good. But all of Betsy's scenes, yeah. I've missed this comment. All of Betsy's scenes. Oh, thank you. Supernatural Syndicate, huh? You guys have a page now?
Yeah.
Oh, why didn't you tell me?
I was going to talk to you about it after the show.
Oh, now I see it. Let me hide my surprise.
I invited you to like it earlier today.
Today?
Yeah.
I haven't really been on my phone almost or on Facebook almost at all today because my daughter's been sick. 8 hours ago, yeah, there it is. There, I liked it. You happy now?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Hold on, how the hell you guys already got 1,000 followers?
Yeah, and she just created that like fucking 10 days ago too.
Okay. People
A lot
love
of good
Supernatural.
interactions on there too.
It looks like it. I wish you guys would have told me earlier. I could have shared it with our people on the Horror Syndicate. Listen, if you like the show Supernatural, Sam and Dean Winchester, I fucking love that show. I missed the first or the last couple seasons, but I was like my wife and I, before she passed away, we would save like 3 or 4 episodes up and kind of binge them every Sunday. We get some Chinese food, watch Sam and Dean for 3 or 4 hours. And it's been hard to go back because that was our show that we watched together. But we're going to have a show starting very soon on Tuesdays, right? Is that right?
That's right.
Tuesday nights, the Supernatural Syndicate, which is going to they're going to cover. Are you guys really going to talk about every episode per? Yeah. So the first episode will be on the first episode, the pilot.
Not quite. I'll send you the template after. I have.
Christ, I don't know anything, and it's part of my it's part of the Horror Syndicate. Oh man, I'll just stick to movies. Anyway, back to Friday the 13th.
Back to Friday 13th. Come on.
Back to Friday the 13th.
Stay on track, Ray.
Stay on target. Yeah. So, what is your favorite kill in the movie? So we talked about favorite, and there's not many that you can see. But favorite kill, obviously, you can talk about Kevin Bacon's, which is pretty iconic. You can talk about Steve Christie just gets stabbed in the gut, right?
Yeah.
You got the Annie, name's Annie, Mrs. Voorhees. There's some iconic kills in there. I mean, you know what mine is, obviously. It's going to be Mrs. Voorhees. I love that part. Love the slow motion. The music cue is fucking perfect.
I
And
would go
you
with
out there answer along. What's your favorite kill from the first Friday the 13th?
mine's Mrs. Voorhees as well.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, axe to the face. Our buddy Sean from across the ponds here. Friday the 13th is probably one of the most overrated slasher movies ever made. Pamela aside, the characters are poor, and the pace. Yes, dead on, my friend. We have been saying that exact same thing. Sean, while you're here, tell me what is your favorite kill from Friday the 13th, and tell me your favorite Friday the 13th movie while you're at it. Axe to the Head or Kevin Bacon's. I don't know if it's overrated because it's not even the first or the favorite of there. I've never seen it as the number one favorite of anyone. Like where last time you ranked them, where did you rank it? Do you remember?
Like 7 or 8.
I'm gonna pull mine up. I can pull mine up. Let's see. I have it, and it's just respect out of the being the movie that started it all. I have it at yikes. Never mind. I have it above Hollow Friday the 13th Part 3.
I wouldn't go that far.
I have it at number 9.
9.
9 of 12, yeah. Number 9 of 12. That's
So
not very
wow,
good.
I have it higher than you.
You must.
Wow. I was thinking about it earlier. How like every time we talk about this movie on the Horror Syndicate, I'm like, I must sound like a wicked big fucking hater because I'm like always like talking down about this movie, but I do enjoy it. It's kind of like rising up on my ranking because of the nostalgia factor. It's just not a movie I've ever like been crazy about, you know?
Yeah, me either. I mean, I give it credit where credit is due, and I really do love the series as a whole, but this one just never, I don't know, it just never really did much for me, you know. So like if I could make a supercut of the first two movies, I would just take, cut some of the kills and then Pamela's scene, and you'd have a 2-hour movie because you'd have all of the first movie. I also cut out, and we'll talk about that next week, but I cut out that shit with Alice at the beginning of 2.
Oh, yeah.
We agree on that, and then I'd start it with the people were arriving at the camp in part 2. Or well, it's what's his name and his girlfriend with the big bouncy boobs. Um, start there, and then that's it. You know what? I would end it. This is where I would end Friday the 13th. I would end it with that jump ski. This I would end it right there. No boy, we didn't find any boy, and then fade to black and start the second movie at make it look like Alice did die. I mean, that would be an amazing supercut in my opinion. Let me talk
Oh,
to my. Go ahead.
By the way, did you see Sean's comment about his favorite?
Yeah, I saw it. He said Pamela's head getting chopped off. And final chapter with Jason lives at second. I did see that, and that's why I kind of just blazed right over it.
You're right, Sean. You're right. I agree.
Yeah. What's this, man?
Happy to recruit you.
What's Mandisco? Is it the theme from part 3? That's the best part of part 3. Hey, so the guy who doesn't wipe his ass in part 3, he's in a lot of stuff.
Which one? There's 2 people.
There's 2?
There's Harold in the beginning, and
Harold,
then
the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, and then there's the hippie guy.
Yeah, It's Harold, but he's in a lot of stuff I didn't realize he was in.
Oh, really? Like what?
Oh, hold on. I gotta look it up again because I looked it up the other day and I'm like, holy shit, he's this guy and this guy. Uh, Give me 1 second, children, because me and Helena were watching it and I was like, it's like he looks so familiar, and she had the same reaction. He didn't wipe his butt. Yeah, I didn't notice that until you pointed it out. To be honest.
I have certain pet peeves with movies. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I have pet peeves with hygiene. So
Yeah. Yeah.
let's see. So he's in House, 1986 House. He's in Star Trek Five. He does the part one of the hyenas voices in The Lion King. I guess the laughing one. He's in Married with Children. He does Maxie Zeus's voice in Batman the Animated Series. He was in Friends, which I remember now seeing him as a a priest when Monica and Chandler got married. But yeah, he's in some like I saw his name. I'm like, or I saw his filmography. I'm like, holy shit! I've seen almost everything he's in. And just to think, he didn't wipe his ass. Anyway, that's some fun. Let me go back to the comments because we got a bunch since. Let's see. Oh, what Dan Johnson? It's different because you don't know who the killer is. It's not. Well, that's the other thing. That's why I like Five, because it's a whodunit. I still have Friday 1988 in my top five. Well, I don't hate Friday the 13th. I just wanna. I love the whole series, and I do like this movie, and I appreciate for what it is. No one ever wipes their ass, and no one ever says goodbye on the phone. They just hang up. Yes, actually, I might have. No, that was the right one. Okay. Part five is so good. I'm obsessed with hand washing. I have become that since everything started a couple years ago. Sounds like what they did with the 2009 reboot. Yeah, pretty much. They compacted almost everything they could. They took the best elements of the first four movies and put them into one movie, essentially, which I thought was genius.
That's why I love it. I love
I
that
did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ed Romaine, really. I would prefer 1980 to Part Two, though. Better characters, but Jason is not great in it. It's true. The Jason very wet behind the ears in Part Two, but that's kind of one of the things I like about it. With Sean, we're going to be doing this every week, so come back next Friday. We're going to be talking about Part Two. But yeah, I love the remake too. We'll get there in 3 months, uh, maybe more. The tunnels and the bell. I like that. Vince Never Hike Alone hates that. Yeah, Jenny does kick ass. I really like her a lot. She your favorite final girl? I don't
Yep.
remember already. She was my number two, I think. No, number three, because number two
Number
was
three,
Trish the Dish, and number
all
one
right.
was
Okay.
yeah, and number one was Megan, just because I like the sackhead, and overall is Jason. He looks more like a guy who's been out in the woods for 20 plus years or whatever. I mean, I like the look. And then the the one thing, like I did a chronology of the Friday the 13th series, trying to make sense out of from Camp Crystal Lake to Jason Takes Manhattan, and that's my biggest problem was two, three, and four all take place within a day of each other, and four doesn't even take place on Friday the 13th. It technically be Saturday or Sunday, and two takes place over a couple of days, but the difference in Jason is so drastic. And the weird thing is Steve Miner directed both of them, but he goes from having a little bit of long hair, weird looking guy, overalls, plaid shirt or whatever, to being. I mean, Steve Dash. I've met him, and he was not that tall. He was a little bit taller than me, maybe like 6 foot tall. Where Brooker was, I think, 6'3". He's a hulking dude. So they go from 6 foot to 6'3" and hulking, and they put this hump on his shoulder, and he's completely bald, and he's wearing a very pastel looking costume. It's like, What happened here? How many years? 5.
5.
Yeah. So the first movie takes place technically in 1979, and we learn that because in part 4 you see Pamela's headstone just on the side of the road, which is fucking weird. Like, why is her headstone there? you know. And so yeah, and like I said, 2, 3, and 4 take place within a day of each other. But check that out. That article's on thehorrorsyndicate.com. And there's 11 people watching, so I'm hoping we're getting some subscribers and hitting that like button. Come on now, share it
Now
all
we're getting
around.
a bunch of Friday the 13th fans who are like fucking haters.
We're not haters. I love Friday the 13th.
I know.
Sean Sheridan, I will give 1980 this. It has more story than most of the series with the whodunit storyline, which is different from. I mean, that's kind of your the reverse of Psycho, which is something I wanted to mention. Um, and I think Pamela is a better character, yeah, than Jason. Love Betsy. Take her out of the movie. It's garbage for me. Yeah. And that's what I was so like I mentioned early on, there's a lot of elements from other horror movies in this, like Psycho, but it's kind of the reverse where Norman Bates is channeling his mother and Betsy's the mother channeling her dead son, which is not dead apparently. Which I think is
Well,
great.
yeah, even Harry Manfredini's score is kind of almost reminiscent
Yeah.
of Bernard Herrmann's score from Psycho. I think there's a lot of Psycho influence on here. Like certain elements, like the whole thing with the axe to the head and hitting the lamp. Like it was almost like Cunningham was trying to do a little bit of Hitchcock.
Yeah, I think I you can notice at certain points that it's in there. Um Actually, it's funny when I got my Scream Factory box set, the first one I watched was 5. So it's always like that. You get a box set and you're like, which is the first one I want to watch, and then you'll always remember the first one you watched. Because when I got my original DVD box set, which I don't think you can see right here, which is the slimline cases and 2 movies per disc, the first one I
Yeah.
watched was Jason Takes Manhattan, and then when I got the steel box set that had all of them in digital copies. The first one I watched was Jason Lives, of course, best one.
Second best
Uh,
one.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah, exactly. So that's what I had to do is watch the demon scene. I fucking love that scene. Ooh baby, ooh baby. Shit box is gross. Yeah, I think Five's played up for laughs. I mean, there's a lot to it, but Seth hates Manhattan so much. Like we're taking like we have 10 categories to judge these movies out, and I can't wait till we get to part 8 because I cannot wait to see seeing people complain about 5 all the time, and I love 5, man. 5 is way better than people give it credit for. By the way, I don't know if I ever showed you guys this. So I found this at Walmart not too long ago, a couple years ago, I guess. It's Friday the 13th. I'm like, cool. They're finally giving some love to the remake. Because that definitely looks like the remake Jason for the most part, right? So and then I flip it over, and on the back, it's got scenes from the first movie. I'm like, wait a second. And then I slide it out, and sure as shit, I have never opened this. It's the first fucking movie. This was only $7.50, so I bought it. But like, that's the reason I bought it. It's because it's false advertising. This motherfucker didn't even have his mask until the third movie. He didn't wear a jacket until Freddy versus Jason, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's just proof, though, that they know that what sells this franchise is Jason Voorhees, which is why
It's
I'm a
Jason.
little skeptical about how the TV series is gonna do.
So that comes out, and we can talk about that a little bit. I don't think Friday has a movie that is totally a dumpster fire except Jason X. That one is the worst horror movies ever made. Jason in space as a Power Ranger, yeah, that was a disgrace of the series. Uh, it'll be hot garbage. Yeah, I have a feeling it will be too. I'm gonna give it a shot. And I know Seth, you said you're gonna give it a shot. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
all right. So, is there anything else you want to bring up before we get into our slasher scale rating?
Not really. You know, I do see to me it feels like I've been talking shit about this movie a lot lately, but I do enjoy it. It was one that I didn't enjoy as much when I first watched it, and it could be very well because I saw like some of part three and then part
Yeah,
six, and then I went and I watched this one.
yeah, and that's
And
I think that's a problem with this series. You can't go back to one after you've seen Jason. You know,
and I watched Scream before I saw Friday the 13th.
really,
Yeah, so I knew
that's the series we should do next
Scream.
because because it'll lead right into Scream 6.
I am down for that.
Yeah, if you think about it, we by the time we get done with this, it'll be almost it's coming out in April, right?
March
March.
10th.
So yeah, we should do that's after Friday the 13th. I think we should do Scream.
I'm
That
down for
way,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I am too. I fucking love Scream. Who loves Scream? Do you love Scream? Let us know if you scream, scream, scream. Oh, hold on, I didn't see this one or this one. Hold on. Okay, Jason Takes Manhattan is a very slow. Jason Takes a very slow boat ride to Manhattan is my least favorite. Yeah, okay, everybody, what's your the least favorite? Mine is probably Jason X. I always, when I was younger, had a theory there was a second killer. Okay, that's something I want to talk about real fast, if you don't mind, before we get to our score. Issue with Friday 1980 is 30 minutes, 30-minute script dragged out to be 90 minutes. Yeah, I agree with that. Yes, Scream. I love Scream. Love Scream. First Jason. Okay, that's the way is worst. X is the worst. Love Scream. Okay, so 9 people here. If you're here, comment with a hell yeah if you want us to cover the Scream series after the Friday the 13th series. And the last thing I want to talk about is the theory of a second killer because in part 6, I think it's part 6, we learn that Jason has, of course, he has a father. His name is Elias, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I had a theory that I never really brought up too much, where I thought that maybe Elias may have been the killer in the second movie because that could explain the difference in size and all that stuff. Any thoughts on that? Hell no, no Scream for Vaughn. Vaughn? Is that, I don't understand. Hell yeah.
Well, how about this? It would make part two so much more forgivable if the opening scene was Elias instead of Jason. And
That's yeah. Could you imagine Elias carrying his dead wife's head around? That would make sense. That's something we're gonna have to really get into when we talk about part 2. Fuck that franchise. Oh,
not a
that's
Scream
okay.
fan, huh?
Not everybody's a Scream fan. Okay,
Yeah.
so for your, what would you like us to discuss after we do Scream? Because we're gonna do Scream. Yeah, because we want to talk about the Hellraiser series. We want to talk about Phantasm, Elm Street, Omen. I like that. That's something we've never really touched on ever. Like even on the Discourse show, we've never talked about the Omen. And there's
No,
five movies. So
we were going to. We had an Omen show set up. I watched the original, the remake, and I listened to the audiobook in preparation. And then we had a last minute cancellation for someone, and we just never went back to that topic. But I'd be
well,
interested in talking about the Omen.
are you interested in talking about the whole series, each movie?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Because I really love the first one. The original Omen's fucking legendary. Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah.
It gets no fucking love. 100%. I agree. And okay. Oh, Ash
Yes.
versus Evil Dead. We could talk. Definitely do that. But yeah, I agree. Is your name? I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. is it Vaughn? Anyway, yeah, I definitely want to discuss it because I really like Damien, the second movie, quite a bit. It takes a like a sharp turn in a different direction where the first one was, and plus I think the first one has some of the most iconic kills, and you see the kills. I mean, a plate glass window goes in the guy's head. You see it. This is 1976 and
Yeah.
1980. You can't. You know, they're not showing these kills, and then you also get the pole coming through the guy. You know, it's just yeah. The Omen has some of the best kills in horror that nobody fucking talks about. So absolutely, I want to talk about that because I have not revisited the Final Conflict in a long time, or the Awakening. I think is the fourth one, and I do like the remake. I thought the casting was top notch for the remake.
The cast was good, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for the I can't remember the character name, but the one that David Warner played in the original. The guy that they got to play him in the remake was pretty good.
Yeah, the casting was really. So I mean, I haven't seen 3 and 4 in a long time, but I definitely would like to talk about those movies. I really do like them. We may combine episodes for a couple of them, like 3 and 4, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The mom killing a baby with an iron. I wasn't gonna throw up. I had a burp. Sorry. Anyway, so is there anything else we want to get to before we get to the our? So we wanted to do this for the discourse show because we talk about movies and we all have different thoughts on how we like them, and it's the same thing here. Seth and I don't agree on everything, 100%.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. So we came up with this grading scale for discourse, and we ended up not using it because we were starting to really dissect what each category was, and it was like, yeah, let's just stop. So we simplified it a little bit here. We've got 10 categories, and we rate them 1 to 10. And then you add up the scores, and that's your percentage, because if you have 10 categories on a scale of 1 to 10, that's 100 points. So each point you get comes out to the percentage. That's math. So, Seth, do you remember what yours was? What, you like that? That's math. Do you remember when Jamie Lee Curtis, the Halloween Kills thing, and the guy's like, "You're doing your math wrong. It's only been 4 decades." It's like, no, it's 6 decades, 6 different decades.
Yeah,
70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010s. It's 6 people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey Skip, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we love fucking Friday the 13th, bro. We're gonna be doing all the movies, an episode for each movie, and then we're gonna have a supercut, 12-hour long. No, I'm not doing that. It's too much. 12-hour long episode of us talking about Friday the 13th. That's longer than the goddamn Crystal Lake Memories. So anyway, do you remember your score?
I don't.
Okay.
Remember, I changed it last minute and sent it to you right before we went live.
I'm gonna send it to you so you can say it, and I'll put it in the group chat because I forgot there's this. So look in the private chat.
Oh, okay. It's a good idea. A bad idea, Bert.
All right. So you explain your score, why you got there, and I'll do the same, and then we'll come up with the combined score. So we're going to show our combined score at the end of every episode of this show, and then eventually we're going to do a whole, ranking of each series that we do based on our combined scores, and then we'll have our own scores and do our own personal rankings that way. So, go ahead. Did you see it?
All I could see is your percentage, or my percentage, or
that's what
my percentage.
Yeah, that's all you need to see.
Oh, okay. Mine is 42%.
Yeah, so 42% out of 100% is his score.
Yeah, I mean this franchise isn't known for its quality, and it never tries to be. So I'm keep that in mind. But like realistically, scoring certain aspects like writing and direction, the numbers are low, and I understand that these aren't anything more than what they're supposed to be, just cheap, fun slashers, popcorn entertainment, and I get that. So, but going by the writing and direction and all that, everything led up to a 42%. The strong points for me are the score, the production design, setting, and in the effects. And I think the entertainment value is it's average. Is that a good enough explanation?
That's more than I wanted. No, that was good.
Well, shit.
If one gets respect for getting started with the score and effects, and definitely surpassed by most of the sequels, absolutely. So mine was 57%, and there's a couple categories I ranked a little bit higher. Like I said, my cinematography was a little bit higher because there's certain shots in the movie I like, and for the kills that we do see, they're very iconic, so I gave that a higher score. And entertainment value is really low for me, other than the end. So it got a half a point basically. Not a half a point. It was half of the 10. It was 50%. But overall, 57% seems about right for this one. And when you combine our scores together, it's 50% on our slasher scale. So that's not a bad place to start for the first movie, in my opinion. Let us know what you guys think of our score in the comments for Friday the 13th, the OG. And we're going to be doing this every single week. We're going to have a slasher scale score for every movie we talk about, even if it's not a slasher. That's the name of the fucking whatever. If you got a better name, let us know. We're also trying to figure out a name for the show because I called it Friday Night Slash Attack, which is kind of lame, I think. I don't know. I don't know what else to call it. So that's the first episode's name, Friday the 13th, Friday Night Slash Attack. I was thought about calling it Friday. What is it? Horror Movie Massacre, because that was the name of that I wanted to call the Horror Syndicate originally, but I don't know if that's too long or I don't know. Let us know in the comments if you guys have any good ideas. I don't want to call it the Horror Syndicate something. I want to call it something different. I'm not excited about the Friday the 13th series. There'll be manifestations of Jason. What the fuck is that? Yeah, I what? Go ahead.
Well, I have a good title for our shows, and that
Did you
is.
freeze out? Did you freeze out, Seth?
Am I still frozen? Can you hear me?
What?
Can you hear me now?
You're breaking up. Yeah, you're breaking up.
Motherfucker.
No. Back out and come back in.
All right.
At all. Friday Fight Nights. That'll be good for the other thing we're going to be doing, where we're going to be taking two movies that are kind of similar, like Day of the Dead and Return of the Living Dead. I think is going to be our first episode where he takes one and I'll take the other, and we try to argue, and you guys are going to decide which movie's better based on our arguments. Be the jury. And so we're doing that episode first, Return of the Living Dead versus Day of the Dead, and then we're going to do after we get past Jason Lives, we're going to do Jason Lives versus Friday the 13th for the final chapter. And then also we'll take suggestions of movies that people may argue over which is better and which is worse. So that'll be the Friday night fight or whatever you said. What is it? Friday Fight Nights. That'll be that, and that'll be fun. The Maniac Syndicate. I want to lose. I gotta be honest. I've created the Horror Syndicate, and I've never been a fan of the name. So Friday Night Macabre. Not bad. Kind of reminds me of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The opening crawl or whatever. Anyway, so what do you guys think of our score for Friday the 13th? We gave it a 50% overall, and we'll come back with Friday the 13th Part 2 next week. I don't know if Seth's coming back or not. Hopefully everybody will like the post, subscribe to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube. If you don't like the Horror Syndicate on Facebook, you probably should, because we do all kinds of shit between articles, putting up memes, and just general questions about movies or whatever's happening. And if we can, there he is. If we can, we'll cover different topics. Of course, we have our Wednesday night show and then the Supernatural Syndicate. So we're gonna have 3 shows happening coming up very soon. I forgot I wanted to go over Facebook comments. Do you want to do that real fast?
Sure. Just real quick before I forget, my title suggestion for the show should
Yeah.
be "Final Chapter is Better Than Jason Lives." Thoughts?
So Seth is no longer with us. It, no.
Well played.
Yeah. I have all the control. Let me see. I put a post up about Friday. Oh, it's because I did the review. Um,
Yeah.
let me see if I can pull this up so I can read the comments.
I'm gonna grab another beer while you're doing that.
Oh my God, you and your beer.
I love it.
All right, so we got Facebook comments because I put Jared. So Jared wrote a review on Friday the 13th a few years ago, and I put the review up the other day or yesterday or today. Maybe it's today. I like it more than you guys think. What, the movie? Thank you. We need more people. Friday nights up all night. It's not too bad. It's like USA up all night. I love that show. All right, I'm gonna pull up on my Facebook feed real fast and show you some of the comments. I haven't even read them. I generally try to read comments that we get on Facebook, all of them. But lately, we've got, like, for some reason we had the faculty. I shared that it was the day it came out, and it went ape shit like Wooly in Dawn of the Dead, and like tons of people were commenting on it. It had 33,000 reactions, and it's like, Jesus, I can't keep up, and like 8,000 comments or whatever. Anyway, uh, so I want to read some of these. Keith Ept, I've seen it so many times that I kind of burn myself out on it. I never need to see it again. That's funny. I used to do these regular videos too, where I'd read comments for stuff and react to them. David Ryan says, I'm not a fan. I find it too slow and boring. For this franchise, I feel like they only cared about the kill scenes. That's true. And majority of the characters are only there for nudity or to add to the death toll. That's 100% correct. Uh, Jeremy Britton says, always enjoyed this movie. I like the short ones. I like it and enjoy it well enough that it's a decent slasher that, of course, helped to crystallize, along with Halloween, the American slasher subgenre throughout most of the 1980s. I think of the few sequels are generally better, both quality and entertainment wise. 100%, right? Jason Coulier, related to Dave Coulier, cut it out. It's my favorite in the franchise. We just said that. I don't know anybody who it's the favorite. It's Jason Coulier's favorite. Mrs. Voorhees running around in the rainstorm, killing off counselors at the woodsy summer camp is much scarier than Jason. I kind of agree with that. What What do you think, Seth?
What was that?
Mrs. Voorhees running around in a rainstorm, killing off counselors at a woodsy summer camp is much scarier than Jason. I think not knowing who the killer is more scary than Jason. If you love slasher movies, OG
Yeah.
Halloween is bad. Friday the 13th is Ma Ma Ma. Go ahead.
The big appeal for the first one is Betsy Palmer's unhinged performance at the end, and there is something kind of creepy about that. And she does have there's a strong element to her character where it's this mother who lost the child and just went completely nuts and is doing whatever she can to just keep that camp closed and keep people off the property.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's not really a lot of her, and part 2 is the one I feel like is, I don't know, it's the scariest, maybe. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Slow, boring. Second one is better. It's a classic. Not gonna burn it down with criticisms. Don't care for it. Just kind of draggy. Yeah, I mean, kind of the same stuff we've been saying. So, thanks for the suggestions. Friday Night Massacre's not bad. Actually, most of these aren't bad. But yeah, is there anything else before we head out that you want to say?
Me?
Yeah, you're the only other person here. I mean, there are people
Oh,
watching, but I mean, we covered pretty much everything. We didn't talk
well,
much about the opening scene with the two camp counselors that get killed early on, but I mean, that's just the jump. They didn't really show, and I guess that would give it a lot away. We didn't really talk about the end. The like the iconic jump scare, the dream. I mean, does that do anything for you?
it does nothing for me. I mean, people love it, so there's that. I mean,
I mean, if I would have saw it
just in
originally
general, like,
first,
what's that?
if I would have saw that first a long time ago, rather than Jason Lives, and
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I understand why people enjoy it for what it is. Just me personally, it's always been sort of average. And for me, in my fandom of this franchise, is really 2 through 7, and the remake. Those are the ones that I go to when I'm in the mood to watch these movies.
mhm.
I like 3 a lot more than you do.
Yeah, most people do. I'm three. Just I don't get it. I just watched it again the other day, and I'm like, I don't understand why people love this movie so much. It's got it's got the lowest rating. I know Rotten Tomatoes is not something we need to follow, but it's got the lowest rating on Rotten Tomatoes out of all of the series. Did you know that?
Even lower than Jason X and
Yep, it's got a
Goes
seven
to Hell.
percent. 7%. It's the lowest.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
shocking.
yeah. Think about that for a minute. Anyway, I'm three will get a higher than a 7% from me because I'd have to give it less than one for every category for and I can't
Yeah.
do that. It'll probably end up within 11 out of or yeah, 11%. That sounds about right, right? 11%. Anyway, I have nothing left to say about Friday the 13th. Well, I mean, I do like it quite a bit. It's not my favorite of the series. It will never be my favorite of the series. I respect it for what it did. I actually I don't like visiting this one as much as the others. That's all there is to it. But I want to thank anybody who came out to watch our first Friday night slash attack or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna make it more banners like this with me and cute boy Seth over there. And actually, you can't see, but he's holding the lament configuration in his hand in that picture.
Yeah.
So every week we will have that score up there for you. I want to remind anybody who's watched to subscribe if you can on YouTube and like us and follow us on Facebook. Got a lot of great stuff coming, and don't forget Discourse this week. We are going to be talking about John Carpenter's Vampires. Yes,
Fuck
I am
yeah.
so excited. I love that movie. Nate,
Language,
unfortunately,
Padre.
yeah, dude, as soon as you said should we watch Vampires, I like had the biggest grin on my face. I'm like, yes, I love
Yeah.
this movie. I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, so I'm excited. I have the Scream Factory, which this is the box art from the Scream Factory. But
Yeah.
yeah, come back on Wednesday. We start a little bit earlier, um, and what 7:30 on the East, and 8:30 where I am, which is the Midwest. So come back and on Wednesday, every Wednesday night, or if you missed the episodes, it'll be up on YouTube. That's why you should subscribe. It sounds like I'm drunk when I say subscribe. Subscribe to YouTube. I don't sound like that when I'm drunk. I actually, when I'm drunk, I'm really smiley and I say bullshit a lot. I know that. I was told that you say bullshit a lot. Yes, it is underrated. I love vampires. Sean, you're going to be there, right? I know you're going to be there for the vampire show. just choked on my own spit. I'm so excited. And then next week, oh my God, Seth,
Puff, puff, pass, buddy.
I'm dying. What?
Nothing.
I just had a big spliff. All right. I think I'm better now. Maybe. Anyway, so yeah, so if you haven't watched our show with Discourse, like I said, we really get down to the nitty gritty with that. And we will definitely be talking about vampires. It'll be me, Jared, and Seth, or it could just be me and Seth. Nate will not be with us for that one. Actually, he won't be back for a while, unfortunately. Got some personal business going down. But next week on this show, we will be talking about Friday the 13th, Part 2, and how much better it is than this one.
So much better.
And, yeah, it really is. It's. I mean, I hate to be that way, but it's a superior movie in so many ways. And the only thing I think, but there's only one way I think that it's not superior, and it's it's Betsy Palmer, and somebody mentioned that before. That she's one of the big reasons why this movie works, the first movie, and I agree with that. So, man, I can't believe I choked on my own fucking spit like that. You guys got to hear me cough for like a solid minute. And Seth, why don't you talk about the Supernatural Syndicate real fast, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so on Tuesdays, it'll be myself and two others who are fans of the TV show Supernatural, which ran for 15 seasons and 327 episodes. And the three of us are very passionate about the show. We love talking about it, and we've come up with an idea for the show where we're going to discuss our first episode is going to be sort of like a introduction to us, and we're going to talk about the series as a whole. And then starting with our second episode, we're going to go through every single episode of all 15 seasons, so you can grow old with us. All right. By the time we get to season 15, episode 20, we'll all be in hover rounds or have walkers, gray hair, or balding. Regardless,
I'm already beating you there.
we're all.
Lou.
But we're gonna talk about the shows. We're gonna do some. One member is gonna do some trivia. The other member is going to do some research into the individual monsters of each episode, and we're going to kind of deep dive into some of the lore a little bit, but mainly we're going to just look to have a fun conversation about Supernatural. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Don't be scared of it being a product of the WB/CW, because it is better than anything on that network.
I think for the first at least 8 or 9 seasons, it may have been one of the best TV shows on TV. It was really good. Yeah. Fresh every week, and every season it's a little something different. It's a really good show.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
Seth will not leave me alone about this fucking show. And do Supernatural stuff. Like,
I know I've been trying for years, which is why I'm pretty excited that we're able to move forward with this idea. And if you haven't seen the show yet, this will give you an opportunity to check it out and check it out with us. I mean, all you have to do is watch one episode a week, which isn't much. It's a 45-minute episode. And also what we're going to do too is once we complete the final episode of the season, the next episode that we do is going to be like a season overview before we move into the next season. So we're going to have a lot of content going forward. So
we're talking about 327 plus 15, so 342 plus one more, so 343 episodes. It did, yes. And the killer in My Bloody Valentine 3D, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
both came out in the same year too.
Yeah.
I want to go back real fast. Dan mentions two super hotties are in part two. Tell me who the super hotties are. I want to know who they are because while I do find Jenny attractive, by the way, Seth's been having glitchy problems all night until he started talking about Supernatural. The whole time you're talking about Supernatural, you're perfectly clear, and as soon as I bring up something else, you freeze for a second. Yeah, yeah,
I hope that's a good sign because I've been worrying about this glitching with the upcoming show. I'm like, fuck.
it's not like this.
Yeah, that was bad.
So, but well, the thing is, like, you haven't been bad up until last or Wednesday when we did Nosferatu. It hasn't been bad in a while. By the way, if you haven't watched our Nosferatu episode, it's on YouTube, ready to go. Um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Dan. Okay, here we go. The skinny dipper and the guy's girlfriend in the big truck. Yeah, so she was only 17 and she was supposed to have a nude scene in the movie that they actually burned the film that they filmed it on apparently. And yeah, the skinny dipper. So I saw her, I can't remember her name offhand. She was at oh god, I think it was Days of the Dead in 2018 and she was wearing the Mickey Mouse shirt and the shorts and for someone in her probably 60s, she looked pretty fucking good. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But yeah, you're not wrong. A lot of people talk about how like, and I'm not saying she's not attractive, but how pretty Amy Steele is. I've never been into her. Like, I something about her. She's never been like if we rank the prettiest final girls, she'd be with Adrienne King towards the bottom. So yeah, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, don't forget a couple things to remember. Supernatural. I'm not sure when that's launching yet. We'll talk about that. But next Wednesday for sure, John Carpenter's Vampires is coming at you just like Valak jumping out this window. And then, by the way, that's Terry Silver from Karate Kid 3, if anybody didn't know. That just adds to how awesome the movie is. And then next week, Seth and I will be talking about Friday the 13th, Part 2, just like we did tonight. And we'll have our rating score when we're done with the episode. I've already got mine, and Seth did one earlier. So I'm going to rate the rest of them tonight. Because I've seen these movies backwards and forwards so many times, I don't need to rewatch them.
Yeah,
that's why this is
here.
so easy.
Yeah, it's a very easy topic.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, this is besides Elm Street, this is probably and Halloween. I think we could probably do all three of those series without ever watching them again.
Last time I watched the Friday 13th movies was like a year ago.
Not me, because I'm rewatching with Helena and then watching the segments on Camp Crystal Lake Memories.
I did watch 2, 3, and 4. The last Friday 13th that we had.
That was in May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch any in order. I watched Jason Lives because I wanted to show my girlfriend because she was scared of Jason. Then we had sex. And I came inside her, so that was fun. And then we watched Jason Goes to Hell because I guess after I blow a load, I need to watch Jason Goes to Hell. And then, yeah. And earlier that morning, I think I watched Friday the 13th 5 when she wasn't there, which probably gave me the erection because of the girls with the boobs in that one over her. Because I don't know. Anyway, that's that's enough of me talking about that. We're not together anymore, so I'll talk about having sex with her and coming inside her all I want. Too much information.
Thank you for the details, man.
Hey, I mean, he was pretty hot though. I mean, I will say that about Sherry. She'll never watch this. I'm sure she unliked the page after we broke up. Anyway, I'm sure the sex kill scene in Jace Goes to Hell. Yeah, I mean, when she was riding me, I was hoping Jace would come and fucking split her open in half and, step on a condom outside the door. Anyway, always have safe sex. Don't just come inside people. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up for the rest of the night, even though I could probably just sit here and talk all night. What's up, Seth?
So that was a good pun. We're gonna wrap it up.
We're gonna wrap it up. Yeah, so stepping on the condiment show. I can't wait to talk about Jason Goes to Hell. What would you think? So I know Adam Marcus. What
Mhm.
would you think about having him come on for the episode?
It'd be, I don't know, it'd be fun because I like the guy. He's actually like he's a really super nice guy.
He is.
And
He
I
really
actually
is.
I feel bad for all the shit that he gets, and I feel bad for saying anything negative about that movie. But he seems very understanding. Um,
Well, he says a lot. He was giving certain,
yeah,
things to do in the movie, and he stuck to that. And I think overall, where Jason Goes to Hell fails isn't the direction; it's
yeah,
the stuff he had to jam into the story because we got some horror is foreplay. Hell yeah! You know what? The first time me and her had sex was we were watching Joe Bob Briggs and Night of the Living Dead, and then we got down, and Night of the Living Dead was playing in the background. But anyway, I just should do a whole episode to talk about me and her sex life because it was wild, man. So anyway, but I forgot what I was saying now.
Adam Marcus.
Adam Mark. Oh yeah. So like yeah, I mean, watch that Crystal Lake Memories part. He was given certain things he had to do. I've kind of chatted with him a little bit about it. We were at a convention and I saw him. He gave me a big ass hug because he was such a great guy. He came, hey brother, gave me a hug, and we chatted a little bit. He's a really nice guy, and he's it's not all his fault, and he did a fine job with what he was given, basically. And plus,
No,
he was 23.
and he's humble about it because I remember when they first put out the DVD for Jason Goes to Hell way back in the day, early 2000s. I watched it with audio commentary with him and Dean
Okay,
Lorre,
okay. I wonder if there's one on the new one.
and he's so humble, like in that like he knows the certain things that didn't work, and he just kind of has fun with it. There's a part where like Steven goes flying out a window, and he's like, "Here, we thought we were making Die Hard." You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It was a fun audio commentary track, and to be honest with you, out of every like kind of celebrity that I'm friends with, like on Facebook, like he's the only one that's like personable. Like on my birthday, he'll say "Happy Birthday, Seth." You know what I mean? Like seems like a really decent, down to earth dude.
Yeah, he is pretty much that. So I forgot to tell everybody who's watching. We got 10 people watching right now, and thank you so much for watching, sharing, subscribing, all that stuff. There's a secondary channel that this is running on right now, which is Rage of Razor, which is my channel on YouTube, and we do have a Facebook page. If you can go subscribe to that as well. I don't like pushing too much on you, but on Rage of Razor, Seth and I are gonna start once in a while. If you like action movies like James Bond, Star Wars, the Batman, Marvel movies, whatever, we're gonna start doing something like this with those at some point in time. We did what? How many Superman movies did we do? We did Superman 4. We did Superman Returns, I think, didn't we?
Yeah,
We could do Kickboxer or Bloodsport. Yeah, I
that'd be
mean
fun.
yeah, I mean whatever tickles our fancy um, at that
Anything
time.
Van.
But I'm a bit like I love horror and everything, but after my wife died, I kind of sunk into this horror thing and really try to make the horror syndicate grow more than what my passion is, which is comic books. I also write comics for Unparalleled Comics if anybody wants to check that out. Um, but like, yeah, I've always wanted to talk about the geek stuff, and we never did get to talk about Superman 3. Found a way to work that in. And and we were trying to do Superman movies, and for some reason it got lost on us somewhere. Thank you. Rage of Razor. I don't think it's. I don't know. Anyway, this
Yeah,
Coke Jordan's. Yeah,
likable character too.
yeah, very. I loved his character in that.
Yeah.
Um, that whole crew at the diner was cool.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah,
Joey B
yeah,
was awesome as well.
yeah, yeah.
But and her son, man, that arm break. There's some. That's another thing about Jason Goes to Hell, like that I can't wait to get into. Some of the effects in that movie are fucking top notch. That
Oh,
melting
they are.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come
Yeah.
on, like if you want gore, that's one of the best ones in the series for gore and great effects. It really is. I mean, some effects
Yeah.
look like shit, like when he at the end when he's getting pulled into the ground or whatever. But like, there's some really good fucking effects in that movie. You collect
Yeah.
comics, the jaw scene, yeah. Um, Seth, I hope you don't mind if I do this. Yeah, Joey's killed the elbow to the face, and she go. I love that fucking scene.
Love it.
It's
Yeah.
there's a lot to like about that movie, and I'm one who dogged on it for a long time. I did, and then I watched it. I have not watched the commentary, which I kind of want to do now, um, but
Do it. Yeah. It's fun.
I need to. I need to. I need to. What I want to do is real fast. I'm going to share this with you fine people out there, and I appreciate everybody following the Horror Syndicate a ton. But I my comic book company is called Parallel Comics. As you can see here, we got 1,300 followers, but we produce books like The Dragonfly, Stellar Odyssey, which is kind of like a Star Wars type book, and there's Dragonfly, more Dragonfly. One of my books. Here's one of our new banner. Um, Seth, you've read my comics, haven't you, or did you just get them and kind of toss them to the side?
No, I've read them. They are
I have a
good.
feeling you tossed them to the side.
No, I read them and I put them
Oh
back
yeah,
in their binding, and they're good.
I'm trying to find there. These This is my stuff here. I wrote these books, Operation Eclipse. There are 4 issues out. Well, 4 is coming. It's almost done, and 5 will be coming soon. And issue five's cover is stupendous. We have to run Kickstarters because we don't have a ton of money. So and making comics is not cheap. Let me tell you, it's let's see if I got the cover for issue 5. Is stupendous. It's phenomenal. Um, if you guys want to see it, I love comics, man. I grew up on Batman and Superman, and I decided I wanted to create my own superheroes. And same thing with Star Wars. And that's why me and Seth want to talk about it on the Rage of Razor, which I do have a Facebook page for that too. There's Operation Eclipse stuff. Did we post? Did you ever see the cover of issue 5? I don't remember if I posted it.
I don't think I have.
Oh man, I don't. Maybe I didn't post it because it's pretty badass. Anyway, enough with that. Rage of Razor page does exist. We have like 1,000 followers or whatever. Jesus Christ. Yeah, switch to the fucking profile. There. Okay, I give up with Facebook today. Anyway, that's it. If you guys can follow us wherever we can, because the more followers we have, the more people will comment and talk. Because my favorite thing about this is, besides being able to talk about horror movies and then comic book movies and stuff, is being able to, thank you, Luke, is being able to interact with people about these movies that we love. I can't hear stupid. That's why I said stupendous. Anyway, yeah. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following. Check out the Supernatural Syndicate on Facebook, and check us out next Wednesday. I know Seth's pumped because he's got a boner for John Carpenter, but I am too. John Carpenter's Vampire. So come back and watch Discourse. It's a good show. It's me, Seth, Jared Letourneau, and Nathan Thomas Milliner. What are you gonna say?
Oh, I was just mimicking the boner.
Oh, and Nathan Thomas Milliner, you may know he did Scream Factory cover art, NECA cover box art and stuff like that, and tons of other movie posters. And of course, you'll be here Friday for Friday night, whatever, when we talk about Friday the 13th, part 2, and give our score. And of course, tonight's score was 50% for the first movie. And then Friday Night Fights will be coming up very soon too. So thank you. Thank you very much. Seth, have a great night. We're gonna sign off. Do you have a Evil Dies Tonight type of sign off?
Fuck off, weed.
Oh Lord, he's out there. Anyway, thanks again, guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday and Friday.